Democratic Congressman Elijah Cummings joins us. He's from the state of Maryland. Republican Scott Rigell from Virginia joins me as well. Nice to have you both with us. So I want to start with you, Congressman Cummings. You have a very personal attachment to this issue. I know that your nephew was a college student who was murdered. Tell me a little bit about that.
A year and a half ago, my nephew Christopher Cummings was an honor student, 20 years old at Old Dominion University in Virginia. He was robbed at 5 o'clock in the morning and shot to death, and his roommate was also shot. And I got to tell you, I can feel the emotion right now that I felt when I went into his room and to see his blood and body tissue spread over the walls. It's a very painful thing. And I think and when the Sandy Hook incident came up, I got to tell you, so that it brought it all back up. And people want solutions to this gun violence problem. And I'm so glad to be joining with Scott and others to try to do some common sense legislation that'll help resolve those kind of matters.
So, Congressman Rigell, why don't you walk us through this, what you're calling common sense legislation? What exactly will it accomplish?
Well, Soledad, it's really focused on two groups of people, folks who are gun traffickers and straw purchasers. These groups are hurting lawful gun owners like myself. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA, and I'm proud of the work that the NRA has done in so many areas, and I'm a strong defender of our Second Amendment. But there's a group of folks out there, gun traffickers and straw purchasers, who are circumventing the law. The penalties are not stiff enough. And as I put it, we really need to change the culture in America to where it's really not okay to buy a gun for someone else. Right now, the penalties are so low that there's a high incidence of this, and this is hurting our country. How
will the two bills, the one that's been proposed by the Senate and now this one that you have, how will they work together? I mean, your bill leaves out a lot of stuff. It focuses on trafficking and tracking, but it doesn't cover mental health. It doesn't really cover background checks. Those, I think people would say, are critical elements. How do you bring them together?
Well, we were really focused on common ground, and I think Elisha might even comment on that, focusing first on what we agree on, right?
Yeah, so that one of the things that we've noticed is that, there are a lot of broad proposals, and certainly Vice President Biden has brought forth some very good ideas, but we've got to figure out exactly what it is that we do agree on. And the thing that bothers me is a lot of times we will agree on certain things, but because we concentrate on our disagreements, we end up doing nothing. And I think it would be very, very sad, considering what happened at Sandy Hook and what seems to be happening almost on a daily basis now with young people being killed. We've got to find some solutions. And I think Americans are not asking us to do something. They're begging us to do something.
Well, and the other group begging us to do something are the law enforcement officials and the prosecutors. They're telling us how frustrated they are, as Representative Maloney highlighted in the piece that you ran there, with their inability or the difficulty that they have in prosecuting and deterring the bad folks. So that's one reason there are so many law enforcement officials behind us yesterday at the press conference, and really from across the country who couldn't physically be here with us, that are supporting this. It makes sense, and it is common ground, and we're working hard to get it advanced through the House.
And so that, keep in mind what Scott said. We're aiming at the criminal element. These are people who are trying to get around the laws that already exist. And so we're trying to figure out, how do we make sure that that person who has a criminal record then goes to someone who does not have a criminal record, tells them to buy a gun? How do we really show them that we're not going to stand for that? And I just think this will help that situation.
Let me ask Congressman Hayworth where you see challenges for this. I mean, you have been there. You have seen proposals like this being discussed, but really nothing has come forward before the Senate sort of plan.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about before, Soledad. There are all these elements of a solution that have to be looked at, and I think one of the problems that we have, and I laud the congressmen and Congresswoman Maloney for bringing this bill to the floor, because I think it's something that probably could incrementally, this is a fairly small step that might be helpful and make some progress. That's good. If we can't make the enormous bill, let's make incremental progress. But the problem is we really do need to have an approach that encompasses the cultural element in some way, the mental health element. We need to bring more focus on all of those issues if we're going to get the cooperation of those who are the staunchest Second Amendment advocates.
And Elijah Cummings, Congressman Scott Rigell talking to us this morning. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.